Happy Monday. Hope you had a great Easter. Hope you are encouraged by the fact that the tomb was empty. Jesus rose from the dead. He is who he claimed to be. That changes everything. So we are returning after a 2-week hiatus to Colossians chapter 2. So by way of reminder, a letter written by the Apostle Paul from a prison cell in Rome to a church that has been planted in Turkey that he didn't plant. He's never met these people. He has heard that they're having some challenges, some problems. There's some false teachers there. We're not entirely sure who they are, but they're disrupting people. And so we have, in the past, we've looked and thought about Judaizers and Gnosticism and covenants and circumcision. As we push into chapter 2, we're going to see that Paul stays on the attack. And initially he's going to talk about legalism. A little bit later on in the chapter, he's going to talk about some other things. We're going to see, talk about false worship and asceticism. But today it is legalism. So I am reading Colossians chapter 2, beginning with verse 13. We looked at this before, but we're going to go farther. So, and you, who were dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made alive together with him, having forgiven us all our trespasses by canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross. He disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame by triumphing over them in him. Verse 16, here's our verse. Therefore, let no one pass judgment on you in question of food and drink, or with regards to a festival or a new moon or a Sabbath. These are a shadow of things to come, but the substance belongs to Christ. So, the problem being addressed here is legalism. What he's saying is don't let people judge you by these crazy standards. It doesn't mean we can't be judged. That would be a different point. And indeed, we need people to assess what we're saying and other things. I would push back on some of the push to not have anybody's views assessed or to charge microaggressions and other things. But don't let them judge you by things that don't matter. So legalism is not a biblical word, and so it has a couple different definitions. Some people use legalism when they say you're being legalistic. They're saying you're trying to live the Christian life under the power of your own flesh. And when the word is flesh is used, that refers generally to our sinful body. Our body is not sinful. Our body is broken, but there's nothing inherently wrong with having a body. That's Greek thought. But when Paul or others talk about our flesh, that's a bad term. So we're trying under the power of our own flesh to fulfill the law. Some people use the word legalism in that sense. Others use the word legalism to refer to those people who add requirements to what is found in the Bible. That's what's going on here. Now, both are wrong. The first, those who try to be good under their own power, is actually better than it sounds. It comes out of a wrong understanding of the gospel. It comes out of a wrong understanding of who we are. It comes out of a failure to recognize how broken we are, how unable we are to live the kind of lives that we're being called to. This kind of legalism is the older brother in the parable of the prodigal son. But it's the second we find here. So there are false teachers in Colossae, and they're adding rules that they want people to keep. And if you want to be in the church, they're saying, you've got to keep these rules. Now, I suppose if the church were your idea, you could come up with your own rules. I mean, you could start a club and say, I don't know, you got to be left-handed to be an officer. So if it's your club, you can have your own secret handshake. You can do what you want. But the church is not our club. The church is God's plan. And so we have to listen to what God says about the church. And God has established what the rules are for joining the church. and it has nothing to do with the ceremonial rites that were previously part of the law. So it has nothing to do with circumcision. It has nothing to do with these dietary restrictions and dress codes. All of this was part of what the Jews were expected to keep as it related to the ceremonial law. But what we find Paul saying is, look, this was from the shadow lands, right? In the past. This does not relate to Jesus and what he has done and what he has now created. Reality is found in Christ. So I leave you with this. We'll come back to this. We're coming back to this on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll leave you with this. We are all, by default, Pelagians. So we all try to earn. We all think God will like us more if we're better. And while there's truth with the idea that being better is better, God's love is independent of who we are. It's based in his character. And so the theological spin on this is to say we should not think that our sanctification leads to our justification. Instead, it is our justification through the finished work of Jesus Christ that leads eventually to our sanctification. Have a good day.